Hey, welcome back to our series where we examine feedback, constructive feedback, hopefully, and be able to break it apart into parts and be able to see if it's really constructive and how we could learn from the feedback we're being given. Today, we're talking about feedback from leadership or about your leadership skills. Feedback from leadership about your leadership is probably the best way to phrase that. So, again, this is a part of a series. If you haven't checked out part 2 and part 1, where we go over some of these things in more detail, please check them out. This is going to be really quick. We can spend about 4 minutes here. Hopefully, if it's 12, forgive me. All right, so feedback about leadership. There's going to be 3 examples: an appropriate positive example, an appropriate negative example, and an inappropriate negative example. And we'll probably learn the most from the inappropriate negative example. We'll go from there. So, first, without further ado, the appropriate positive example. Seeing you step up and take control of a team has demonstrated your brilliant talent and people skills. It's nice. Keep it up, and you'll be making a name for yourself here. Now, positive examples, we're not as critical with the order that it's placed in, but in general, we're looking for 4 things. We're looking for pain that you're solving, the consequences of your action, the expectations, what we expected, and ideas to further improve. So here, the pain that they're obviously fulfilling here is some leadership issues. You stepped up and take control of a team, right? That is pain that you're solving. You stepped up and you took control of the team. There's kind of the consequences there. And in consequence of taking control, you demonstrated your talent and people skills. It's awesome. We don't really see an expectation in there, which it could be a bit of a flaw, but that's okay. And then ideas, there's no really ideas here other than, keep it up. So again, not as important with positive feedback to have all 4 of these, more appropriate with negative, more important with negative. I read appropriate and said it. So we'll jump into the next one. Appropriate negative example. Let's look for these 4 things, right? I've noticed that you're not forthcoming when there are opportunities to lead a project. Boom, pain, right? I appreciate all the work you do, but I'd love to see you take on a challenge. Please let me know if there's anything I can do to get you there. So this is actually really good feedback. The one thing we're missing here is the consequences. We see the pain. I notice you're not forthcoming to take on opportunities to lead a project. There's the pain that they're looking for. The thing that's causing the organization pain is you're not leading when there's opportunities. The expectations are pretty clear. I appreciate the work you do, but I'd love to see you take the challenge. Right? Like the challenge of leadership here. That's expectation. So we have pain and expectation. We're missing consequences. We got this nice little list over on the side. We're missing the consequences. Then, hey, ideas for how we can improve. Let me know if there's anything I can do to get you there. At least they throw out the idea of let's have this conversation to talk about what you'll need to move on to that next step. So, not the worst example of feedback. We get pain, we get expectations and ideas. We're missing a bit of the consequences there, but all in all, pretty good feedback here. So now let's look at the inappropriate negative example. If you're not going to take these opportunities, then why are you even here? So, interesting feedback. First of all, what opportunities? Right? And if you break it down, the pain, consequences, expectation, ideas, I think we may feel pain and expectations in this comment. Um, but the hard thing is, what pain are we actually? What are we actually solving for? What's the actual pain that's being felt so I can address it? And so if you get this feedback, imagine this is the feedback that you received. What can we do to establish these 4 things? Because these 4 things are what's going to help us be able to make this feedback something that we can act on. So first, let's try and ask some follow-up questions. That is a theme you'll see in all these videos. If we don't know enough about the pain, we're going to ask questions till we truly understand the pain. So our pain is going to be, it said, what opportunities are you talking about? What is the pain you're trying to solve? And in this case, I think it's a lack of leadership. So we're going to try and understand that. And then we want to understand the consequences. What has my lack of leadership led to? Understand those 2 things, and then understand what is expected. Am I expected to be the leader here or to take those opportunities? It sounds like from this feedback, that's the one thing you will be able to gather out of it is I'm expected to do this. Right? And so pain, consequences, expectations, and then let's bring forth our own ideas of here's some places I can take leadership, I can step in, and I'll be able to do this. This is a really good example, actually, when we're talking about negative feedback of emotional feedback. You can just feel the emotion coming out here of like, what are you doing here if you're not going to take these opportunities? Like, that's emotional. We're going to try and get through that emotion and into something that's more constructive and something we can actually work with. Now, imagine you receive this feedback as a company, as an organization, this type of feedback where it's like, if you're not going to help somebody, why are you even here? That's hard, right? But again, you want to break down the 4 things. Can I follow up and try and understand what their pain they're actually feeling, what the consequences were of me failing to fulfill the need or whatever need it was that is causing them pain, the expectations that they had, and then think of some ideas to go through here. And so you can brainstorm it. You could try and think like, okay, where might we be failing based off of other pieces of feedback they're receiving or other feedback we're getting out otherwhere. And then based off that feedback, what are the potential consequences that they may have faced? And then, what did they expect? And work through that process. There's been another segment in our reviewing critical feedback and critiquing it and trying to understand how we can get the most out of it. I hope you check out part 4 coming up here. We'll throw a link somewhere around here, and you'll be able to jump into it, or probably the next just in the playlist. Just hang on, and you'll be able to jump into the next part. If you have any questions, please feel free to reach out. We're at www.pulse4good. We're feedback experts is what we do. We're here to help you. Also, got to click the button to stop recording.